Welcome to Small Arm Solutions. Today we're looking at the Springfield Armory Prodigy. Yeah, I got a 1911 in my hand, which we all know I'm not much of a 1911 fan. However, sort of a little bit of a story on why I got interested in taking a look at this pistol. One of my friends here, he's a Houston Police Department officer, and he's a big 1911 guy. And he was telling me that the Houston PD SWAT team are very fond of the staccato 1911 9mm. Of course, me, I just can't see anybody using a 1911 in modern use or modern military or law enforcement, but there are still people here who are stuck on their tradition. So they're still trying to modernize the 1911 to make it more viable in today's environment. So the staccato basically was a 9mm that was a 1911, high capacity, 1720 shot magazine, ultra reliable, ultra accurate, but still a 1911. But the price on those were ungodly. They were between $3,000 and $4,000. They were very, very out of reach. Well, Springfield Armory took a look at it and decided they wanted to offer something else that was very similar at a price that people could afford. So you're looking from anywhere from a $3,000 to $4,000 pistol down to $1,700, $1,400, depending on what option that you want to get. And the guns are very, very comparable in all their characteristics, all of their size, their accuracy, everything. The staccato, again, for that kind of money, you're getting a lot more hand-tuned precision. So, of course, you should get a little bit more accuracy out of them. But having the opportunity to fire the two side by side, reliability between the two that I shot were similar. The reliability was there. Now, we'll get this right out of the way immediately. I know when the Prodigy first came out, there were some issues with them. Some of the other content creators had some issues with them, which is why with this pistol, I was a little bit different in the way that I went about testing it. This is probably one of the first pistols I went through 1,000 rounds in one day because we wanted to see if this thing was going to be reliable because of what was said in the past. Now, I can't speak for those pistols. I can only speak for the one that I had, and the pistol that I had here was 100% reliable. We're going to get into that, different kinds of ammunition once we get into that. The pistol that I chose was the full size. I didn't want to go with the compact. I wanted to go with the full size. The staccato that I shot was their full size. So this does come in two different variations. One's a 4.4-inch barrel, I believe. Yeah, one's a 4.25 and one's a 5-inch barrel. Again, this is the 5-inch barrel. The other model with the shorter barrel is the exact same frame as you would see as well. It just has a shorter sliding barrel. So let's start getting into this thing. The first thing we notice is the magazines. It comes with two different kinds of magazines. One is going to be a 17-shot magazine, and one's going to be a 20-shot magazine. So 21 or 18 rounds that you'd be able to carry in a 1911. The grip is not too out of the realm of being comfortable. I have to say, even for my hands, as far as 1911 goes, this was actually a very comfortable pistol. This is also a plastic module on here, again, just like the staccato. Now, you do have a flared magazine well on here. You got really good grips on here as well. Now, the safety that you have on here is ambidextrous, typical 1911, cocked and locked. So you have an ambidextrous safety, right and left side. Very nice beaver tail on here, as well as a very light hammer. Gives you a little bit more quick shots, which I will say the way this trigger was. Now, this particular trigger was heavier than the staccato. The staccato I had was probably around 2.5 pounds. This is about 4.5 to 5 pounds. So this one has a much more of a combat trigger versus a target trigger versus the staccato that I had shot. But basically, it was the same concept. So again, we have a 1911 type trigger. We have on the frame here, we do have a 1913 rail. Now, the slide. The slide is basically a forged steel, forged carbon steel, which is cerakoted. We have a fiber optic sight on the top here, and we have a higher profile sight on the rear. Now, this one has the Dragonfly optic on here. Now, this comes with or without, and if you choose to remove this, this does come with a standard backup sight, which you can put on here. This was the only thing that I did have an issue with was the sight, because I got this thing so hot that I probably cooked the battery, and the battery had stopped working. So that was probably me from getting this thing way hotter than it was designed to get. Now, the barrel we have here is a very heavy bull barrel. We have a two-piece guide rod on here, which we'll see when we take this thing apart. This is not toolless. You do have to have an Allen key to take this thing apart for maintenance. So again, grip safety, manual safety, and no firing pin safety. Again, that's another thing that I was not pleased with, was the fact that this did not have a firing pin safety. Being designed as a carry gun and not having that, it's just is an issue that I have, with it. Now, barrel, again, we have a very heavy bull barrel, which is 1 16-inch twist, left-hand twist. Again, 1911s traditionally are left-hand twist for as far as the Colts are concerned. So oddly enough, I went with the left-hand twist on this one as well. So yeah, overall, the fit and finish was quite nice. Again, the staccato probably would have to be a little bit nicer, but there's no play to this thing whatsoever. There's just a little tiny bit of play to it. Everything feels like it was made together, so it was very, very smooth. Now, disassembly. Again, we're going to clear. We have to use the Allen key to unscrew the front of the spring guide, and we have to remove that before we can disassemble. So now we have that removed. Now, like a typical 1911, we pull back to the notch, push out. Again, don't have any nails, so I need some help. Slide comes right off. And now be careful, we remove the spring guide. And now we have a barrel bushing. And we have a Browning linkless type system on here. Pull the barrel right out, and there you have it. Now overall, if you take a look at the slide, again, the machining is very well on here, done very nicely. And looking at the barrel again, we do have that very heavy bull barrel profile, standard Browning locking mechanism. We do have the link on here as well. You can see we have a good feed ramp on here. Now, this feed ramp, for as far as adequacy, I put a lot of different kinds of hollow points. We're going to get into that in a minute of what hollow points that I actually did use, and we'll see what it was. But this thing really fed everything we put into it. Now, looking at the frame, again, typical. Have your ejector, your connector, just typical 1911, and again, no firing pin block. Again, big problem for me. But overall, fit and finish is quite well. Disassembly, basically we're going to reverse. Drop the barrel right back in. We got to insert our bushing in the front. Just like a typical 1911, we're going to insert. This can be a little bit tricky, trying to get everything on there and set properly. Drop in like so. We line up our barrel link. And now we drop in recoil spur. From the recoil spring rod, now we tighten that back up. Just give that one more tighten. So again, some final specifications on here. We're looking at 33 ounces for an overall weight with overall length of 8.5 inches. Barrel of 5 inches on here, grip height of 5.5 inches. So again, full-size duty pistol. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take this to range and we're going to see how it shoots. So, as I said, we went through quite a bit of rounds. You saw quite a bit of footage on this one, which is, again, a little abnormal because, again, whenever I get a gun, which I do hear people talk about there being malfunctions or being issues with, I tend to want to do a little bit extra. And, of course, I was also curious about this one as well. So, for a rundown on the ammunition, we had 300 rounds of Southern Bullet, 124 grain full metal jacket, 80 rounds of Norma 108 grain monocore, 100 rounds of Winchester 9mm 124 grain NATO, 100 rounds of SIG V-Crown jacket hollow point, 100 rounds of Federal Deep Hydroshock, 100 rounds of Oscarson 124 grain full metal jacket, and 20 rounds of my new carry ammunition, Fort Scott tumble-on impact ammunition. Now, with all that, 1,000 rounds, not a single malfunction. So, again, I can only testify as to what the pistol that I had, how it performed. Accuracy, as you can see from the target, was excellent. Offhand or off arrest. Overall, if you are a 1911 guy and you want a good combat 1911, this is certainly an excellent option for you. And don't get me wrong, the staccatos are a very nice gun, but if you're looking at what you pay for versus what you get, I think this is a far better deal. And you're still getting a good, reliable pistol. Of course, anytime you buy a new pistol for any kind of personal protection use, you're going to want to put some rounds through it, make sure everything works with it. After putting 1,000 rounds through this thing, I would have no problem carrying it if I like to carry 1911s, which again I don't. But I did enjoy shooting it. Accurate, reliable. I think it is a very good competition for the staccato. I think this is the average guy's staccato, but you're not going to be any less armed with this versus the staccato. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, please click like, please subscribe, and even better, share.